Hey guys, good afternoon or good morning whenever you're watching this. I just wanted to make a quick little video on understanding polygons, okay? Because I know some of us are a little bit confused on what are polygons, what is a regular polygon, what is an irregular polygon. And just to start off, a polygon is just pretty much like a mathematical way of saying shape, right? So a polygon is equal to a shape. And what is a shape? A shape is a set of lines, right? It needs to be 3 or more lines that come together, right, to create this polygon or shape. So for example, right, in order to create a shape, it needs to be 3 or more lines. Why? Because if you were to create 2 lines, it is impossible for them to connect. It would be impossible for them to connect. So you need at least 3 or more lines to make a polygon. So if you notice how these shapes right here, they connect, we just made a polygon. So now polygons have different names, okay? So if we have a 3-sided polygon like this, it would be called a triangle, okay? And then if we were to add a 4th side, right, would be considered a quadrilateral. A 5th would be a pentagon. 6 sides would be a hexagon. 7 sides would be a heptagon. 8 sides would be an octagon. 9 sides would be a nonagon, and we'll stop at 10 sides, which would be considered a decagon. Think of a decade, right? Decade, 10 years, decagon, 10 sides. Okay, so let's get into what is a regular polygon and an irregular polygon. So a polygon has 3 things. It has something called a vertices, right? A vertices is where the lines meet. So if you look at this line right here, we can call this line A, line B, and line C. So where A and B meet at this point right here, this would be called our vertices. That would be considered a vertices. Where A and C meet, this would be another vertices. And where B and C meet, it would be considered another vertices. So a triangle, for example, since it is a 3-sided polygon, it would have 3 vertices, it would have 3 sides, and it would also have the distance between the lines, which would be called angles. So polygons have vertices where the lines meet, sides, which we know what sides are, right? Usually we can measure them in with distance, and then we have angles, which we measure in degrees. Okay, so we have vertices, angles, and sides, which are going to determine what type of polygon it is. So now let's talk into regular polygon and an irregular polygon. So I'm going to give you an example. Let's continue to use a triangle just so I can show you. Okay, so let's just say I have a polygon that looks like this. First and foremost, it would be considered a triangle because it has 1, 2, 3 sides, and then we would determine if it is regular or irregular by checking if the angles are the same, if they have congruent, which is the same as equal or the same, congruent angles and sides. So a quick little example, right? I gave you guys the dashes. So if you look at the dashes would represent that these 2 sides are equal, right? And if I had these little dashes here, that would mean that these 2 are equal. Since this side right here doesn't have a dash, it is telling us that it is not equal to the other sides. And since there's no angle symbol here, it is telling you that it's not equal to this side. So since not all of the sides are equal, right? Let's just say this would be considered 7 inches. This would be 7 inches. And this would be 3 inches, right? Just an example, right? I can tell that this would be an irregular, sorry, I had a little brain fart there, polygon, right? Or an irregular triangle. All right? Now, this would be an irregular polygon once again because it has different sides and and not all angles are the same. Now, let me show you how a regular triangle polygon would look like. All right, so, okay, here we have a triangle, and let's just say this would be 3 inches. This side would be 3 inches. This would have 3 inches, right? They're all the same. So I can have the dashes, right? So that means all the sides are equal. All angles are equal, right? I can tell by the symbols, all right? So that just goes to show me that this would be considered a regular polygon or a regular triangle, okay? Because all sides are the same and all angles are congruent, all right? Now let me show you something else. Something else that I felt that a lot of us were confusing on would be by, let me show you this, right? Oops. Now, here we have a four-sided polygon, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? And then we were looking at stuff that look kind of like this. So I feel like identifying the polygon is simple because we can just count the sides, but now identifying it as regular, irregular is where we're getting stuck. Now, how can I tell this is regular, irregular? So we need to think of all sides need to be congruent and all angles are congruent. Obviously, all angles are congruent here, but now let's look at the sides. Notice that these two have 1 dash and these two have 2 dashes. Now, this is telling me that this side is congruent to this side, right? But now, is this side congruent with this side? The answer would be no, right? Because the 2 dashes would represent that it is congruent with all the sides with 2 dashes. So opposite sides, this would be considered a rectangle, which is a specific type of quadrilateral, which opposite sides are equal, but not the ones next to each other. Okay, so this would be considered a quadrilateral. And it would be considered an irregular polygon. So once again, it is considered irregular because even though all angles are the same and it does look symmetrical, notice that these lines are longer than these lines. So since all these sides are not congruent, it would be considered irregular. Okay, I hope this helped you. I'm trying to, I know it's a new chapter. I know it might get a little confusing, but please call me, message me, whatever you need if you don't understand. I'm trying to make your life easier. I know it's really hard with this whole distance learning thing, but I'm here to help you, all right? Stay safe and take care.